Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nazir page 34, which introduces us to a new chapter, which is actually quite fascinating because the chapter begins by telling us the three things that a Nazir is not allowed to do, namely cutting their hair, having any contact with the dead, as well as consuming wine or grape products. And right off the bat, this is quite fascinating because we have already gone through 33 pages of the Talmud in this tractate. And only here do we start talking about the three basic rules of what it is to be a Nazir. And one would maybe think this perhaps should be at the very beginning of the Gemara. And this teaches us a couple important details. First of all, a lot of times when we're learning the Gemara, it doesn't necessarily mean that if it's in a particular place, that is the beginning of the discussion. A lot of times it's mentioned throughout because the Talmud in certain aspects is flowing. In addition to that, it comes to tell us that when a person opens up the Talmud, a lot of people think, I can just start learning the Talmud without great levels of prior knowledge, in which, of course, a person could always open up any book. But the reality is there is basic information that a person should have acquired before they actually start learning something more in detail, such as Gemara or the Talmud. And therefore, it's self-understood that these are the three concepts and three rules of a Nazir. And it didn't even need to tell us that at the very beginning. So then why is it mentioning it here? It's only as an introduction to discuss it at greater length. Because the Mishnah continues and discusses what if a person eats a part of a grape, part of the peel, or let's say it's edible seeds. So in that situation, do we say that each one is separate? So the Mishnah told us that they actually are all combined. What does it mean combined? So even though they're not allowed to eat any of this, however, there is a violation if you would eat the amount of what's called a kazayit, which is the general term for a lot of measurements, namely an olive volume. Then you have violated and you would actually get a punishment of lashes. Now, in this, it's telling us that they all combine. That even if you would have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, that even though each one separately is not a kazayit, it doesn't matter, you still have violated it. Now, I'd like to point out an interesting point that is further elaborated on the future pages, that says that according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, he said that the only time you're going to be obligated is if you eat two seeds and the peel, or the skin of the grape. And the words for seed and pit and peel are chatznayim v'zog. And it's actually interestingly over here, there's a dispute exactly which one means peel and which one means the seed. But we end up saying that if you look at a bell that's ringing on an animal's neck, it has two components. Most of us would refer to the outer level in Hebrew as the zug or zug. And therefore, since also when we're using that similar word when it comes to a grape, it's referring to the outer part of the grape, which must be referring to the peel. And therefore, the inner part, which is the clapper, that which makes the noise, it's referring to the seeds. So it's fascinating how the Talmud and the sages are able to look at something which is so directly related, again, looking at that of an animal bell, but that is how they're able to use their creativity and have an open mind to be able to extrapolate one thought to the other.